welcome back to the channel. I want to share a couple of things that Zack Snyder shared while he was on a podcast recently. First of all, he shared a brief synopsis for Rebel Moon, which was pretty cool because we don't really know, well, I don't know, much about the main story other than this intergalactic adventure, and it has an amazing cast. But he shared a little bit of the plot details and overall synopsis. So let's take a look. He said the movie's about a planet, not an hour. It's a space fantasy. So there's no Earth necessarily. Interesting, right? But there's a community on a planet, a farming planet, and there's a bunch of bad guys from other worlds. Armies are in the area and they need to be fed. So they come to the village and ask for the village to feed them while they're doing their war in that area. So there's the war in that area of the galaxy. Okay, so there's a war going on. And of course, they are not kind about asking. And the result will probably be the obliteration of the village itself. The villagers decide to fight. And so they have to go out into the galaxy and collect warriors to help them. So that's what, kind of an overall synopsis of Rebel Moon, to expect a little bit, just a little bit of details about the story. We don't really know much about Rebel Moon just yet. Of course, it's still early as far as, hearing anything about the plot because they're still filming part 2. I don't think they have much longer from what I've seen Zach say on Vero. I think someone asked him. I don't think they have too much longer, but then, post-production and all the things. It's going to be a while before we see, part 1. Really excited to hear about maybe when we can expect, a teaser of some kind or just any kind of information about their release. So just wanted to share that since we don't really know much about Rebel Moon so far, besides the amazing cast, and that it's going to be, out in space, different planets and different kinds of, alien creatures and alien races. So pretty interesting. We probably, I never really thought about that since there is this intergalactic movie. There's no Earth necessarily. So, probably just something really different from, not just that they're in outer space, but that Earth might not even exist in this universe that Zack is creating with Rebel Moon. So definitely looking forward to hearing more about Rebel Moon. Anytime something drops about Rebel Moon, it's pretty exciting and interesting to share. So thank you for sharing, Zack. While he was on this podcast, this show, he was also asked about returning to DC. That's not really a surprise. Of course, now that James Gunn and Peter Safran are in charge, all of the old regime is out as far as the people that were in leadership and executive positions. Of course, people are like, when is Zack Snyder going to come back? And knowing that James Gunn and he are friends and they've worked together and they have a history together. Of course, people are asking. And, the video that Jason Momoa shared on his Instagram stories the other day, which I made a video about, I made a short about it. So if you want to see that, you have to go to the shorts section of my channel, talking about some of the best news he's heard in his life. And it's a dream come true. He kind of tried to deflect and say, when asked, was that Zack Snyder you were talking about and was it DC related? He said it was not DC related, but he said that he said that his dream come true, one of his dreams come true, is happening under the watch of James Gunn and Peter Safran. So I don't see how it couldn't be DC related because they're in charge of DC now. But I guess when he's said maestro on the video, he said he was not talking about Zack Snyder, but Zack, of course, was asked about returning to DC, and we'll go ahead and listen to his response.
There's been a change up at DC. You're not treated well by Warner Brothers, and though thank God we got Zack Snyder's Justice League, because that is it's a masterpiece. I watch that goddamn thing all the time. I love it. So we've heard some things, and everyone's kind of they blurted it out, and they're pulling back a little bit. Is this all just much ado about nothing? Is it a possibility you might be reintegrated back into that world?
No, well, as far as I know, which is very little, just I'm doing my thing and haven't had anyone give me a call or anything. So I'm just wishing them all the best and hoping that they make some cool movies.
Okay, because your stamp is across that whole,
Yeah.
the Snyderverse,
And then when I saw Henry Cable enter into the
Preston and Steve show.
Black Adam world,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I hope this means more for Zack.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that I have your guys' support. That's very kind.
I'll write a letter for you if you want.
I mean, hey.
Yes.
Can't hurt.
But, the truth be told, I'm having an amazing time making this giant movie that I'm working on, and I couldn't be happier. So I really wish them all the best.
Zach, on
Okay, so it seems like he probably hasn't, heard anything yet about going back to DC. But I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, probably the most unlikely thing that would have ever happened at DC is Zack Snyder's Justice League. And that definitely happened. So, I don't see it being impossible or, you know, um, never going to happen. Definitely it's possible, especially with James Gunn being in charge now and Peter Safran and having people that don't just have a total disdain for Zach. And, I don't see why that wouldn't be a possibility. I don't think he would be, I'm sure he would be very open minded to it as long as he could work something out, as long as it would, they could figure out, as long as they could be on the same page about things. And, you know, I don't see it. I know there's been people that have been like, I don't want him to go back and blah blah blah, which I totally understand because I started feeling the same way under the old regime. Like, you wouldn't want someone to go back to a situation where they're just completely mistreated, and there'd be no reason because he wouldn't even have been able to do anything that he wanted to under the old regime. So, you know, it would have had to been a totally different situation, and the only way that that would have happened is with new people, which now there's new people. And so I think it would obviously be a different experience. And I think as long as he knew that, he wouldn't go down that same road again, which wouldn't make any sense, then I think he would definitely be open-minded to it. um, Mark Hughes said something that I think kind of is the same sentiment that a lot of people are thinking. He said, regarding Zack Snyder, I think DC Studios hasn't reached out to him yet because it's still early. James Gunn and Peter Safran are still deciding on plans, etc. I think Snyder is happy with his current projects. And I think, yes, eventually DC will reach out to him again unless Marvel does first, which I don't know about that. I just wouldn't say I don't think it's, completely off the table that Marvel might do that, but I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing or not. I do think that eventually, it's possible that they will reach out to Zach and ask him if he wants to come back and do a project. Like Mark Hughes said, it's early. Like James Gunn and Peter Safran literally just started their jobs a few days, like a week ago, in this position. Yes, they've been, there during this transitionary period and all of that. But as far as like really being in charge officially, and they have a lot to do. There's a lot of work to be done, and figuring out things beyond the movies that are coming out next year and where they want to go with that. And it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot to do and figure out. And, so, but I wouldn't be surprised if, they get to a point where they're like, they want to ask Zach to be a part of something, or if he's interested in taking this on or that. And like I said, James Gunn they're friends. They've worked together and they respect each other's work, so that's definitely a good thing. And bringing back people that were cast by Zack Snyder and people that he brought into the universe, Ben Affleck as Batman, Henry Cavill as Superman, that's a huge thing. They could have, I mean, they could have just been like, we're cleaning house totally with the cast and we're completely starting over from scratch. We're going to recast everybody after these next movies come out. Like, that would kind of be not a great idea as far as keeping your fan base happy. But they could have, like, that. Obviously, they could have done that. Wouldn't make sense. But, even though, and Henry Cavill, they weren't doing anything with him for years, the old regime. So the new regime could have been like, well, he hasn't had a Superman movie in forever, so we might as well just cast a new Superman or whatever. They didn't have to give the thumbs up to bring him back. Is the sensical, logical, best decision to bring him back? Yes. And thankfully they did that. They made the right decision. And they also brought Ben back for Aquaman 2, meaning after The Flash comes out, we don't have to say goodbye to him. So they're definitely, in my opinion, heading in the direction of keeping the people that we want in this universe. Henry Cavill is Superman, Ben Affleck is Batman. I don't know beyond Aquaman 2 what Ben Affleck's Batman is going to do, but we know Superman has a big future ahead of him. Henry Cavill does with Superman. So that is, I am, obviously Zack is very happy for Henry. Like, there's no doubt about that. And it's just, I think fans can't expect that, oh, there's new leadership, so now Zack gets to automatically come back. No, it's going to take time. It's going to take time, and they all have to be on the same page, and Zack has to be able to, say, I'm going to be able to do this, this certain amount of years or whatever, because it's a big commitment, and these projects take a long time. And, if we do see a project from Zack Snyder ever again from DC, it's going to be a while. I do think that Superman is going to be a priority, and probably like fast-tracked, especially now that we know Henry Cavill is not going to be doing The Witcher anymore. That was probably one of the biggest projects he's had in his career as far as a commitment, just filming seasons back to back and things like that. He's doing a lot of other movies, but I'm pretty sure Superman's going to be, obviously a priority, and he knows it's going to be a big commitment. If he didn't want that, he wouldn't have come back to the role. So, and beyond his own movies, he's going to obviously have appearances in other movies as well. So I do see that being a priority, and probably, looks like after we find out he's not doing The Witcher season 4, that could give him, the opportunity to do a Superman movie sooner rather than later. And if they're looking for writers and stuff like that, then they definitely want to get the ball rolling on that. But as far as Zack coming back, I think it would be some time. Like he said, he's enjoying what he has going on at Netflix, which is great, because that's awesome. And I can't wait to see Rebel Moon and that whole universe being, expanded, and more what they have coming with the Army of the Dead universe as well. So I think if it lines up with what he's working on and what project it is, I think definitely he would not turn down the opportunity to do that. But I think it's just going to be some time, just going to be some time. But I don't see the door being closed on that. With the old regime, yes. We all know that the only thing that could get Zack back and be able to do something that he wanted to do is new people in charge. And same with Henry Cavill as Superman. So that's happened. And if that can happen, then I definitely see the possibility at some point for Zack to be able to come back. But I wanted to share those quick things from today. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and or subscribe if you're new. I appreciate you guys checking out the channel. And head over for anything you might have missed recently. Thank you guys. We'll see you soon.